Hey guys, welcome back to the champagne room. How you doing? Mm, 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 mm. I'm sure the caption or title rather of this video has definitely got you guys a little curious and perhaps even, feeling a little uncomfortable or feeling like this conversation needs to be had if you could even guess what it's about. I'm going to start off by saying people are going through a lot. There's no other way to say it. People out there are going through a lot. It is terrible. It's sad. It's horrific. It's depressing. It's all of the above. People are going through a lot. And all these almost carefully woven lies are unraveling, whether it be through social media or on social media, through conversations you have. Sometimes people have slip-ups or they forget they said something and then things just don't start adding up, through their behavior, and even through some of the prayers you hear at church. You realize how much people are going through when you hear the pastors praying and you're like, my goodness, this really touches me and it breaks my heart, because in some instances I have identified with some of the things they're praying over. I know people who are identifying with some of the things pastors are praying over. It's a very, very tough thing. And a lot of the time, and before I even proceed, please understand this video is in no way me gloating or trying to expose anybody. No, this is me saying, let's sit and talk. Let's have a real conversation. Let's have a serious conversation. A lot of the time people feel they can't tell the truth, not because they're bad people, but because they're afraid. In some instances, they've been raised not to say anything. Hello. I was raised like that. Don't speak on your problems. This is not anybody else's business. We'll deal with it at home. I was raised not to ask. And so people are going through so many things and are being quiet. Social media, this whole era, this time we live in that is so superficial, and social media has done nothing but exaggerate it. It's become a place for escapism. So much is happening and people are ignoring it and brushing it under the rug. Why? Because it almost feels like nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it. But you know what is so deeply and painfully sad? The people who you think don't want to hear about it, don't want to talk about it, don't even care about it because they're not experiencing those woes, those troubles, those issues, they are. In their own shape, way, or form, they are. There are people out there who are driving expensive cars, who live in beautiful homes, but have problems. If it's not medical bills, their businesses are falling apart. If it's not businesses, it's children. If it's not their children, it's their health, it's family. It's all sorts of things that are just, they're falling apart. And for people who are not well off to begin with, can you imagine what they're going through? Can you imagine what they're going through? People who are already going into certain times and spaces and were already not well off are in an even worse off position. And again, there's just this feeling, this atmosphere of don't say anything, don't say anything, you can't say anything, don't talk, shh, keep quiet. And I'm not putting it out there as if I'm above this or I'm not. I'm very much a part of this. I'm very much a part of this. I'm going through a lot. Or when I do go through a lot, many a times I have felt that I couldn't say anything. As we speak, there are people who are speaking to family members, but cannot even tell their family members, as we speak right now, I don't even know what I'm eating tonight. That's how deep it is. I don't know what I'm eating tonight. Women who are dating guys who the guys are like, yeah, let's go here, baby. But they don't even have the money anymore to maintain themselves. Even hygiene-wise, they don't have the money to maintain themselves. Guys, men who are dating, have wives, families, colleagues, brothers, Friends, they can't even say to their boys or other people, right now, I'm drowning. I'm drowning. I need a lifeline. I am drowning. Everything you think it is, it isn't. I'm drowning. It's falling apart. I need help. They can't say anything. They're in relationships where they can't even tell their girlfriends that I can't maintain this. I can't afford this. Their girlfriends are here, stressing them. Stress. And they can't say anything because they bring up the fact that when we first started dating, I was in a great place financially. I could afford to get your hair done. I could afford to pay for this and that and this and that. Times have changed. It's not that anymore. Dare they say that? And you can only imagine what it must feel like for them. And not that women's struggles are any less. Absolutely not. But you can only imagine what it must feel like for them because their identity and manhood is so closely tied in with this issue of being a provider. And when I say issue, I'm not saying problem. I'm saying issue as in this topic, so to speak, of being a provider, the subject of being a provider. That's what they were created for. They were created to be providers. That's what they're being told at home. That's what they're being taught. That's how they're being raised, that you're the man. You're supposed to provide. Society is reflecting that. It's pushing that back on them. You're supposed to provide. And I'm not saying that we need to start trying to shift roles and this. No. I'm saying, and the whole point of this conversation is people are going through a lot and are suffering and struggling in silence. That's what's happening. They're struggling and suffering in silence. Even saying it out loud makes me feel so terrible for everybody who's going through something. I've got my own challenges. I'm going through certain things too. I mean, even as I speak, my heart is just like, there's so much happening. There's absolutely so much happening. And as a result of all of this, men are turning to all sorts of things to make money. Men are turning into all sorts of things to make money. Turning to all sorts of things to make money. Whether it be crimes, whether it be, let's just put it out there, demonic activity. To make money. Women, ladies, turning to a life of prostitution, thoughting, being a baddie, we use all sorts of terminology for it. Sleeping around for money. And again, this is not judgment. These are just facts. I promise I'm not judging. I'm simply stating what's really going on out there. People are turning to all sorts of things because it's so difficult. And you know what's so deeply painful, disturbing, and almost worthy of grief is the fact that these women who are turning to these alternative means will post about all the lovely places they're going and will post about all the lovely things they've accumulated. But what they'll never tell you, what they'll never reveal is the psychological damage, the mental damage. They'll never tell you what they've had to endure. They'll never tell you about the spiritual implications because everything has consequences. They'll never tell you about the fact that at night I'm being tormented. I don't know what that is. It's spirits. It's spiritual. That's why you're not able to sleep. That's why you're having all of these, when you close your eyes, bad thoughts, it's spiritual. They'll never communicate the soul ties, how their destinies are being snatched from them. Some of them don't even know that when they're doing this, things are being put into them and taken out of them. How their destinies are disintegrating right before their eyes. They're struggling in so many other ways and they can't, for the life of them, put two and two together. Why? How? Because it's spiritual. And I really didn't think this conversation would even take this direction. But I think this is a good time to add, we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience, not the other way around. Do you think that that guy that you're busy with cares? He doesn't care. Test me on it. Pick up the phone and say, hey, something has happened. I need your assistance with this. Hey, mom's sick, or your things have happened. He's not going to move. He doesn't care. And yet that same man, when he wants something from you, will call you and you'll deliver. He doesn't care. And that's not to be mean. That's just a fact. He doesn't care. And please don't get me wrong. I'm in no way saying that you're entitled to his money, that you're entitled to calling him and saying, I need money for this. You need to help me. My mom is sick. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that he's also not entitled to your body, and yet he uses it. He's not entitled to your destiny, and yet he's taken it. Hey, guys. They won't even tell you that health-wise, things are not okay, that they've contracted things along the way. They won't. Even saying this is making me feel very terrible. It's really making me feel so terrible. You know, this Sunday at church, during opening prayer, or could have easily been closing, the pastor was praying, and then the pastor said, and I'd just like to pray, Heavenly Father, that people's grocery cupboards are filled. That really touched my heart, because that's how desperate and sad it has gotten, and how real. That's how real it's gotten. That again, people are worrying about food. They're not even... For them, it's not even, yo, guys, when was the last time I went out and I had drinks on the rooftop or whatever? They're worrying about food. Food. But again, they can't say anything because the times we're living in are not conducive to that. And I was going to tell you guys a short story, but I just feel like I don't even want to go down that road. Let's just keep going. And I'm sorry I keep on looking down. I had things written because I didn't want to leave things out, but I feel like I should just keep pushing forward. I say all of that to say this: we've got to be a lot more considerate. We've got to be a lot more considerate and sensitive to the fact that everybody is going through something in one way or another. In one way or another, everybody is going through something, and it's real. For everybody. Just because my challenges are not your challenges doesn't mean I'm not going through things. Just because your challenges are not mine does not mean you're not going through things. Everybody's going. And my prayer, honestly, is that some way, somehow, we develop a sense of, or we start to rebuild the sense of community, where we can start being there for each other. We really develop a sense of community where we can start to do and be better for each other. We need it. Not just the person next to us. We, me, I, you need it. You need it. We need to start pulling back in the sense of community. You know, there are many situations that I've had to step away from and step up to in some instances. And when I say step up, stepping up is not just a financial thing. It's about praying for people. It's about little things like genuinely calling and being that person that somebody can trust to tell that, hey, I'm going through X, Y, Z. Or if you notice somebody at work, every time it's lunchtime, they've never got anything to eat. They're always just working through their breaks. And, you know, you've picked up that maybe there's, perhaps pack a little extra for that. Whatever it is, just do something to do and be more. Do something to do and be more. And that's how we start to rebuild this sense of community, so that people are not suffering in silence, because that's what's happening. People are suffering, are struggling in silence. And this is the next point that I've raised, and this is why it's important that we start reevaluating the people we call friends. And that's not me trying to be preachy. I guess that's the next logical thing. Let's reevaluate the people we're calling friends. If I can't sit and tell you that I'm dealing with a lot, anxiety, doubt, fear, depression, hunger. What am I supposed to talk to you about? What exactly are we talking about? When I'm struggling like this, when you're struggling like that, what's the conversation if you can't even bring that up, and yet we call each other friends and family? We have to just start reevaluating. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying after this video, pick up the phone and start calling and blurting out your business. No. Because I know just as much as you do that some people can be very mean. Very, very mean. But that's why I say reevaluate. If it's not a safe space, then don't say anything. If it's not a safe space, don't say anything. But there's a problem when there's just no safe space. And please be very careful of taking your problems to social media. I know. I'm somebody who's used it to even build my brand. So I'm not saying that social media is all bad. And I'm not saying, oh my gosh, guys, social media. No, I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is that be very careful, because people can just use things to further trouble you. Besides the fact that it's not everybody's business, it's not a safe space. It's just not. These are strangers who are commenting and further feeding negativity into your life on top of what you already have. You know, I most certainly am not sitting here preaching and not practicing. I started to reevaluate people around me, and I started to learn to trust the people who I knew could be trustworthy, the people who I felt safe with. I started to take them up on it. And there's a guy friend of mine, very close guy friend of mine. He's actually my best friend. Besides my twin, he's really just my best friend. And the one day I just let it out. Like, he was asking, why don't you do this? And why don't you go here? And I just let it out. I told him everything I was dealing with in my life. And he was so shocked. Like, there was this moment of silence on the phone. But you know what happened after that? He started to reveal to me the things that are going on in his life. And I've noticed that our friendship has just entered into the space of just something so deep and profound, where now I'm noticing he's talking to me about things like, before we were really close and we'd talk about things, problems here and there, but we never spoke about things very specific and things that were very like really pressing on us. And I guess it's that thing where you have to hold yourself, just hold yourself. And now I've become his safe space, for lack of better words. He doesn't hold back when he talks to me. He tells me what it is. He tells me when he is struggling for this and he tells me. So please, guys, let's just start reevaluating our friends. And I just want to end this video off by saying we've got to do and be better, not just for ourselves, but for each other.